afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Spark Rentals Facebook Live and podcast. As you can see, I'm all alone today. Brian is away with his family. And please let me know where you are coming in from, tuning in from, and if you have any questions, anything, just throw it in the chat. So last week, we talked about squatters versus trespassers and their rights and the difference between them two. This week, we're going to talk about security deposit return, when you can and can't keep your tenant security deposits and what for. So let's jump right in and start this. First of all, I'm sure you all know this, but I'm just going to put it out there. Every state and even locality has their own specific set of regulations and laws that have to do with how long you have to return a security deposit and literally what you can deduct and what you may not. But basically, anything beyond, and I'm sure you've heard this term, anything beyond normal wear and tear. So normal wear and tear is any excessive damage or dirtiness. So let's talk about that, because there's fine lines between some of that. First of all, if somebody has a large hole, especially now, like people are mounting TVs and whatnot, if they leave and then you have those big marks in the wall from the hanging part of the TV, that's excessive wear and tear. They have to actually repair that before they leave. Burns, rips, things like that. Any broken kitchen cabinets that weren't broken before, drawers, things like that. Countertops are I have had more countertops destroyed by renters, and it's, you could see that it was just instead of using a cutting board, they were just slicing right on the countertop, and that's hard to repair. So usually that needs to be replaced. If you include window coverings and they're not there anymore or they're destroyed, now, if they're just a little dirty, you can't do that. But if they're completely destroyed, then you can definitely deduct for that. If there's any broken appliances, plumbing, all of that stuff that's, due to negligence or just a renter beating on it, that's definitely can come out. And then the big one is if they leave their stuff behind. And you can deduct whatever it costs for hauling and all of that. And that is in the inside and the outside of the property. So the difference of that and normal wear and tear, normal is just your normal aging process of, everything has their limits with, like paint gets faded, wallpaper, if you still use that, gets faded. Plumbing can get broken or clogged over time. We had an incident where tree roots got into the plumbing. Obviously that's not a tenant issue. That's clearly an issue that you would have to fix, so that you could not deduct. Furniture marks and carpet, you can't really deduct for that. And just some other things. So you have to be really careful and understand the difference between what gross negligence is on a tenant's part and just normal wear and tear. And then the other thing you have to keep in mind is there's a life expectancy. And every locale could have definitions in their regulations that define what they consider to be the lifetime of an appliance. And I'm not sure which state it is, whether it's California or New Jersey, but one of them actually does that. And so, for instance, appliances have a certain life expectancy. Carpet's usually about 5 years. Linoleum can be anywhere from 5 to 15 years. Gas ranges have a slightly longer lifespan than an electric range. And fridge can be the same. They go all over the map. To be honest with you, I think that the newer fridges don't last as long as some of the older refrigerators used to. And then microwaves, somewhere around 5 to 7 years. And again, you know, it depends how much use they get. And that's where if you have like, you know, one person living in an apartment that's using these appliances compared to a family of 8, they're obviously going to get more use for a family of 8. So I did put a cheat sheet in the chat area, and that will help you. What I'm talking about, a lot of that is right there and some other stuff. And it's good to kind of keep it around because you want to make sure you're keeping within the law there. Is you have to make sure that you are operating. So don't be ignorant on your state or local laws on this stuff. Make sure that you know, because some of them you have 2 weeks, some of them is 30 days. So you want to make sure and know exactly what your laws are. The other thing is you want to make sure and not only wait for them to move out, but before they move in, do a complete inventory and use pictures and an inventory list, condition, put serial numbers and stuff like that, all of that stuff, and make sure you take pictures. And then at the end, when they're moving, you have that as a reference. And if you do end up in court, you can show them this is what it looked like before, this is what it looked like now. So, because a lot of renters will say, oh, that burn was there before I moved here, and so forth and so on. So you want to have proof for all of that, you're okay with that. The other thing is keep track of everything, whatever it costs to repair, replace, and all of that. And if you happen to do a lot of the work yourself, keep track of the time. So keep track of your labor and your time in and out. And then you usually somewhere on Google or somewhere you can find out what the normal labor rate would be for whether it was a plumbing repair, electric, or, you know, general construction, whatever it is. You find out what it is and include that in your accounting for the security deposit. And then the other thing is make sure your lease explains what you consider to be damages, and that make sure that you have a very detailed list of what and what not can be done, and how the security deposit will be handled, and all of that thing, because your lease is important in this too, especially if you go to court. They're going to want to see your lease. They're going to want to see your inspection list and your move out list. So the more you have documented, the better it is for you in court. So that is all I got today. Christina has said, do you recommend to use a property manager for out-of-state investors? I keep hearing that is better to grow and not get stuck. There's two schools of thinking there. I personally think you need somebody, unless it's within an hour or maybe 2 of where you live. I would definitely hire, yes, a property manager, somebody to handle your properties, because they're going to go in and they're going to do the inspections. A lot of people will hire somebody just for that, like a maintenance company, or there are people that will just do inspections. But a property manager, if you're pretty far, is going to help you with this. And they should also know the local laws and stuff, so they can help you there too. Gonna put a link also for our lease. It's completely editable, and it has a pretty good section on security deposits that's pretty landlord protective, actually. Of course, I'm going to say that, but it is. So check it out. You can check it out for free. And again, it's completely editable. So with that, we will see you next week, or Brian will see you next week. And have a great rest, and see you on the flip side.